Senator from Rhode Island.
Madam President, I would ask the quorum call be rescinded.
Without objection.
Thank you, Madam President. Today I rise to speak on General and Flag Officer confirmation, specifically the urgent need to confirm the next Commandant of the United States Marine Corps. The senator from Alabama strongly objects to an entirely legal and appropriate travel regulation implemented under a Department of Defense long-established authority, which ensures that all servicemen and their families have equal access to medical care. To show his disagreement with a legal civilian-crafted regulation, the senator from Alabama has held up the apolitical nominations of 251 senior military officers for over 4 months. My colleague from Alabama has made it clear that he will continue his hold on these military officers unless and until he gets his way. He does so despite precedent, and again, with a less than meritorious legal case, in fact, no legal case at all, I would argue, and the fact that members of his own party have objected to this blockade, including the Republican leader. This blockade weakens our national security. Every day it goes on, it has a more significant impact on operations within our military, all branches of military. While our military will always do whatever is necessary to get the job done, they'll always be ready, they'll tell you, and they'll give their all. This hold is unnecessary, unprecedented, and is driving the U.S. military at a critical time in national security to a potential breaking point. It is also an affront to the military and their families, who so many of us just lauded for their sacrifices during the 4th of July festivities. Thank them profusely, but do not recognize that they are professional officers who deserve consideration not as political chits, but as men and women of our services. Those of my colleagues who support this unprecedented delay are themselves politicizing the military by the very nature of their actions. These promotions have always been confirmed by unanimous consent very soon after being reported to the floor, or on the rare occasion, a single overwhelming vote without cloture. But now, in refusing to confirm these promotions, the uniformed military, previously and appropriately shielded from partisan politics, is now thrust into the midst of politics. This behavior was once reserved only for individual political appointees, civilian political appointees, on specific matters of dispute, usually with some reasonable or negotiable outcome. No more. It seems it's my way or no way at all. And that's a sad demonstration. The senator from Alabama often says, if we really wanted these generals and admirals, we would just vote. But I would like to explain that. The senator is not allowing a simple vote. He is demanding cloture first on every nomination. So he asked the Congressional Research Service what it would take to process 251 nominations with cloture. They estimate to file cloture on all the nominations being held would take approximately 5 hours. Then 2 days later, the Senate could start voting. It will take approximately 668 hours to confirm all these military nominations. That is 27 days if the Senate works around the clock. If the Senate just did military nominations for 8 hours a day, it would take 84 days. So just vote is not an answer. This is not a feasible solution to this issue. Now, let me be clear. We have offered the senator from Alabama opportunities to voice his opinion on this policy matter, which he opposes. For example, before recess, we marked up the fiscal year 2024 National Defense Authorization Act. During that markup, we had a separate debate and vote on Senator Ernst's bill, S-822, entitled Modification to Department of Defense Travel Authorities for Abortion-Related Expenses Act. We then had the debate and vote a second time when the Ernst bill was offered to the chairman's markup of the NDAA. And I expect we'd likely be debating this issue on the NDAA as it comes to the floor next week. This is yet another opportunity to vote on the policy my colleagues find objectionable. And as long as I've been here, the essence of this body is when you have a difficult issue, you debate it, you discuss it, and then you take a vote. We've already taken several votes, and still this unprecedented hold goes on. I don't think we can continue to allow 251 men and women who have served and sacrificed, and their families, which makes this impact thousands, not just 251. I don't think we can let them fester any longer, wondering if they're going to get their promotion or not. But today, let me speak about one specific position who I do not think we can ignore, and that is the position of the Commandant of the United States Marine Corps. By law, the present Commandant of the Marine Corps, General David Berger, must end his service tomorrow, the 11th of July. His replacement, General Eric Smith, who had a hearing before the Armed Services Committee on June 13th, and then was voted out unanimously on June 21st, awaits our action. General Berger does not require further congressional action to retire, but General Smith needs the Senate to act to become the next Commandant. I can guarantee you that General Berger takes no comfort in ending his career with his successor unsettled. I went this morning to a relinquishment of office ceremony for General Berger. Now, anyone who has any experience with the military knows that the typical ceremony is a change of command. But that could not be accomplished today because his commander has not been confirmed, the new commandant. To the military in particular, ceremony matters. The visual of the outgoing leader passing the guidon or battle colors to the incoming leader shows the continuous, unbroken leadership of an organization. In this case, the whole of the Marine Corps. In 2019, General Berger received the battle colors from General Robert Neller. This morning, the colors were not passed from one commandant to another. They were relinquished, a word that is seldom associated with the military. They were relinquished from a retiring commandant to an acting commandant. And that is embarrassing, and not for the U.S. Marine Corps alone, but for the United States Senate. To hear a retiring commandant publicly ask the Senate to do its job is an indication of how misguided this approach has been. We need to act, but because of the senator from Alabama and those who support him, we are unable to do so. General Berger has faithfully served our nation voluntarily for 42 years. He has fought our nation's wars. He has selflessly served, and he has done so exactly how we expect our militaries to serve. For the past 4 years, he has led the Marine Corps through a difficult transition on the way Marines fight so that they are ready for the challenge of the Indo-Pacific. But tomorrow, he leaves the Marines without a confirmed leader because of the inability of this body to do its job. General Berger's successor, General Eric Smith, is cut from the same cloth. General Smith was born in Kansas City, Missouri, and raised in Plano, Texas. He earned his commission in 1987 through the Naval Reserve Officer Training Corps at Texas A&M University. Like every other service member, he has served our nation wherever it has sent him. He has served in peace, and he has served in multiple wars. So for those who say this current hold only impacts the generals and the admirals, tell that to the Marines General Smith commanded, included in Weapons Company, 2nd Battalion, 2nd Marine Regiment, during Operation Assured Response in Monrovia, Liberia. Tell that to the Marines of the 1st Battalion, 5th Marine Regiment, who General Smith led during Operation Iraqi Freedom. Tell that to the Marines of Regimental Combat Team 8 he led during Operation Enduring Freedom. In General Smith, we have a Purple Heart recipient. This man has literally shed his blood for his country. And with 36 years of service, he's achieved the rank of 4 stars. He stands ready to continue his service to our nation and the Marines he will lead for 4 more years. It simply awaits our action. Our action and inaction matter. And more than just our generals and admirals are watching. Some argue that this delay impacts only the nominees. They are wrong. These holes ripple through the ranks. And trust me, young officers and non-commissioned officers are watching. How we treat their leaders will influence the decisions of future generations about whether the military is worth the sacrifice asked of them and their families. Right now, a number of military officers who are planning to retire are on an indefinite hold because they have no one confirmed to take their jobs. Others want to go to new commands but cannot for the same reason. Their families cannot move to their new homes. Their children cannot get ready for a new school. Their spouses cannot take new jobs. This is not a game. These are real lives that have been upended due to the pure obstinacy of the senator from Alabama. The senator is, in effect, holding thousands of loyal members of the U.S. military and their families in limbo. I believe we owe them more than that. We are one day from an acting commandant of the United States Marine Corps. According to the Marine Corps History Division, there have been 4 acting commandants in the history of the Marine Corps, which was established in 1775, for those who are counting. The last acting commandant served over a century ago in 1910. And 3 of the 4 acting commandants are the result of the previous commandant dying in the position of commandant, an unexpected development. Could General Smith, the current assistant commandant, serve as the acting commandant? Yes, of course he can. But we must ask ourselves why we would allow it. Why would the Senate allow that to happen with not only our near-peer competitors watching, but the eyes of all who serve watching? We have the ability and the responsibility to act. We should do so. Semper Fidelis, always faithful, is the Marine Corps motto. Let Congress, this Congress, show a modicum of that faith today and confirm General Eric Smith as the next commandant. With that, Madam President, I would ask unanimous consent that the Senate proceeds to the consideration of the following nomination. Executive Calendar number 249, General Eric M. Smith to be Commandant of the Marine Corps. That the Senate vote on the nomination without intervening action or debate, that if confirmed, the motion be considered made and laid upon the table, and the President be immediately notified of the Senate's action.
Is there an objection?